Welcome back to Everybody Loves Raymond. I'm assuming you listened to our first episode, and that's why I say welcome back. I'm assuming you took nearly 2.5 hours out of your day to listen to our first episode. What can we say? What can we say?
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what we can say about it.
Yeah. We're gonna do better. Let's put that on the line.
Don't you love it when the second episode of a podcast starts with an apology for the first episode of the podcast?
Imagine someone like just opened up this podcast, clicked on this episode, and the first thing they heard was, we're sorry.
Well, you know what? We're sorry, but we're not sorry because we had a lot to talk about, and we talked about it. So
I learned a lot about Ray Barone or Ray Romano, like as a stand-up comedian. I really appreciated that.
Mm-hmm. And we learned a lot about ourselves. And speaking of that, who are ourselves? My name's Adam Rudy, and I'm sitting here with my co-host Michael Dormer.
Hello.
And Alex Shear.
I am standing for Frank.
Aye, Captain.
See, I salute Frank always.
Little callback to those 2-hour homies.
Right. Our
2-hour homies.
Some things have day ones, like people who are with them from day one. We have 2-hourers, people who listen to the whole 2 hours.
Exactly.
They got to hear us. Really, they got to hear a lot of ums and uhs and pontificating about the cultural significance of Everybody Loves Raymond, because that's what this show is. This is, as far as I can tell, the only active Everybody Loves Raymond rewatch podcast.
You know, it's funny you say that, Adam, because I did some research on this as well, it seems, and I found 3 all fizzled out Everybody Loves Raymond podcasts. One of them, not really a rewatch podcast. The one called The Barone Report is literally just the audio of every episode uploaded in order.
That's amazing.
I saw that on Spotify because, first of all, I Googled the name of our show, and most of the results, it turns out when you Google the name of our show, are just about Everybody Loves Raymond because Google thinks you're like having a stroke or something. But I also looked on Spotify and stuff, and nobody had come up with the name, which I thought was a really good name, so I was really happy about that. But I also found the Barone Report, and I didn't listen to it because I didn't want to give them the satisfaction.
I want to describe to you. I listened to all 3 just for like a couple minutes, and when I listened to the Barone Report, I clicked on the first episode, and it opened with like the cold open from the pilot where Deborah's in the kitchen helping the kids, and Ray comes in. I'm like, oh, they're playing the audio from like the first little bit to lead into the episode. That's great. And then it just kept going and going and going.
Which tells us... go ahead.
What are some of the other names of our competition?
All right, there are 2 more. I imagine you found both of these, Adam.
Yes. I know there's Must Love Raymond.
Yep. And then the other...
I think they did like 2 or 3 episodes, right?
That is commanding.
They did... No, they actually did like... they got all the way to episode 17 and 18. Of,
that's pretty deep.
So we have... That's, I think, our one to beat.
And then the other one... is the one that only has 2 episodes is Everybody Hates Raymond.
Right.
I don't think that it turns out not a lot of people hate Raymond, I guess.
No, I guess they got tired of hating Raymond really fast.
Well, we are about to lap the hate podcast.
That's so right. Well, we're neck and neck with them. So we'll see how this goes today. Our first under 2-hour episode. Oh, I forgot to start my stopwatch. I downloaded a little thing.
Maybe under 2 hours. Maybe we've been going for that long already.
I got a little thing for the desktop here to show me how long we're going. I think it's called a timer. I don't know why I described it in such... It's a timer. And I thought, because sometimes I'm looking at other things. I just need it in front of me, or we will go for 3 or 4 hours.
Listen, no... You got to name it for the techies out there, the guys that really want what we have. You got to give them the heads up.
Right. Yeah. You mean the brand name of this timer?
Yeah, the brand name of the timer. Yeah,
it's called, and we'll drop a Deborah in here because no fucking free rides, Mike. It's called it's called if you guys want to use it. And we'll put a Deborah over that. And we got a good one this episode too to put over that.
We did get I think we got our first elongated Deborah of the entire run of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's a big episode.
But yeah, so Barone report doesn't even contend. Everybody hates Raymond. We're about to leave in our dust. And
I wonder
must
if they did
love
a full
Raymond.
2 hours. I'm sure if you add them together.
I'm sure they did like 23
Oh my God.
minutes.
An hour and 21 plus 36 minutes. Yeah, we already beat them.
We already beat them.
I mean,
hey,
if that's the measure.
Yeah.
Must love Raymond.
We're coming for you.
Yeah. It's going to take a hot sec. Their episodes are about the same as what I hope ours will be. Between an hour and an hour 30.
Oh, yeah. That would be the dream if we could get in and out of here in under 2 hours. Let's see if we can do it.
If we could spend less than 2 hours talking about a 22-minute episode of television, life would be good.
Yeah.
We've already been recording for 7 minutes, so I think at this pace,
I think we're screwed.
We're screwed.
Yeah,
it's over.
All right.
Let's
stop talking about it and move on. I lost my train of thought because I was thinking about how satisfying it's going to be to write an email to the presumably dead hosts of Must Love Raymond and be like, we
suck it
from hell.
Yeah, we should invite them on.
That would be a good crossover episode.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to edit out us saying "suck it from hell," but yeah, we should.
It's funny. They can come on and do the episode 3. They just never got to.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
No.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, to all of our listeners, if you want to participate in our podcast, we have a new segment, or we're trying to institute a new segment that maybe you would be interested in. You want to describe it, Adam?
Yes, I thought you were about to, but I certainly can. So I'm going to drop the jingle.
It was your idea, so I thought
it was my idea. Yeah. So full credit to me. I'm going to drop the jingle right here, just so everybody knows like the tone we're trying to set. And
Yeah.
So the name of the segment that I came up with, full credit to me, is Raymembrances. And
Raymembrances.
Okay. So the tone of Raymembrances is going to be nostalgic and warm, and it's going to make you feel like you're back at home in your in-laws' house who live across the street from you. Because what we want to see is clips or, pictures or anything that the cast of Everybody Loves Raymond has been up to outside of Everybody Loves Raymond that you find meaningful. So Ray Romano's stand-up, Brad Garrett's stand-up, a cameo that you got from Brad Garrett and want to send to us, and also send us some of your money because that guy, clearly you have money to burn
expensive
if you're buying Brad Garrett cameos. But we want, something to talk about outside of the episode, and to sort of bring any listeners that we may have into this whole process.
Yeah,
I want to stress the barrier for entry on Raymembrances is shockingly low.
If you are watching any movie and see Patricia Heaton or Ray Romano, fuck it. If you're you could send us clips of The Irishman and we would play it on the air.
We should do a.
Actually,
this is not going to help.
Sped up.
Well, this is not going to help with our runtime, but. Mm-hmm. We should do like a commentary track for The Irishman that people can sync up. And it'll be silent for most of it, but then when Ray comes on screen, we'll be like, there he is!
Hey! Where just every time Ray's on screen, all of us give our best Deborah for the entire time he appears.
We could probably record that in like 20 minutes.
No,
I mean,
we
it's
have to sit there and watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, we actually have to do that? We can't fake it?
No, we can't. What the hell are you talking about? Absolutely not.
We just record like 30 seconds of like, yeah, Ray. And then we just kind of put it in where, oh, no, okay.
It might be
I'm alone on
inappropriate
this.
for the scene. You know, we need to be present for the arcs of all the characters to know, like maybe we're clapping for Ray, maybe we're mad at Ray. We don't know. I watched The Irishman. I don't remember anything about it because it was too long.
It was way too long.
Just like our podcasts.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
They're definitely skipping ahead to the part where we just talk about Raymond.
And you know what? We get the numbers all the same, and the numbers are 0, so it doesn't matter.
Full transparency.
Full transparency. So Raymembrances is the name of the segment. Just send us like a YouTube link or I don't know, an IMDb page or like a picture or something.
Anything that can be transferred over email.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Well, yeah, no, let's not start taking snail mail because then we have to get a P.O. box or open ourselves up to stalkers.
Let's start with email. Then we'll see where we are in a month, and then we may allow stalkers.
Okay, and then the email address for Raymembrances is going to be very simple. It's going to be Raymond at symbol postfun.info. That is RAYMOND at symbol POSTFUN.info. Like information.
I also want to stress that this is our email for this entire podcast. So if you want to ask us a question about any part of the show or Everybody Loves Raymond, if you want us to talk about a specific part,
or if you want to send us, hate mail, that's also the place to send it to.
Yeah.
I thought about making it Raymond hate mail at postfun.info, but I thought short and sweet was the way to go. I just assume if we get anything, it's going to be either Raymembrances or hate mail.
Hate mail.
Yeah, are we clear about what we're asking for from Raymembrances? Because I feel like it's not clear to me.
Okay. Raymembrances, one sentence summary. Anything involving the cast of Everybody Loves Raymond outside of the show Everybody Loves Raymond.
Boom.
Any clips, any fun interviews, any time that TMZ caught Ray Romano with his pants down, anything like that, just send it in and we will talk about it at the top of the show. We'll give you a shout out and thank you for listening.
Yes. Excellent. You guys are really good at describing Raymembrances.
Well,
that's our job.
I've known about it for quite a while now.
Okay, we're at like 15 minutes, so we're at good pace. I wanted the top of the show to be 20 minutes, and we're just about there. All right. So, checklist. We've apologized for the first episode. We have done some idle chatter. We talked about Raymembrances. I think we're almost ready to get into the episode. Right?
I think so too.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling sassy.
All right.
Good. That's your role on this show is to be the sassy one. And Mike is the what are you?
Sporty one?
The sporty
one.
The
sporty one.
Yeah. So we've got sassy, we've got sporty, and we've got
I think you're spicy.
Spicy. All right.
Spicy.
That's
what other Spice Girls are there? Those are the only 3 I know.
They're all spicy. In fact, the name would suggest the name of the group. Know what?
I might have just. I would. Yeah, that's true.
And also, I don't think there is a sassy spice. I think that might have been a drag queen
there
that you
is
saw
now.
once, but
maybe that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. So sassy, sporty, and spicy Barone. We're like. This is our fan fiction.
Triplets of the Barone family.
Yeah. You can for Raymembrances, you can send us fan fiction also, because this is our fan fiction. Is we're the long lost members of the Barone family, Sassy, Sporty, and Spicy, and in our story, we come to the Barone household. We're Ukrainian refugees. But there's a whole. I'm gonna write the whole thing. We don't have to get into it now.
Listen. I cannot emphasize this enough. If in your idle scrolling of the internet, you come across Wattpad fan fiction of Everybody Loves Raymond, immediately send it to Raymond at postfun.info. Please, I'm begging you.
I'd like to co-sign that beg. So we will be right back. We're going to take a break. We got advertisers, baby. So you're going to hear an ad, and then we're going to come back and talk about Season 1, Episode 2 of Everybody Loves Raymond. I love you.
I love you.
I love you.
If you're looking for an email marketing tool, look no further than Moosend. Moosend is an email marketing platform used by organizations like Sony, Domino's Pizza, and UNICEF to create highly engaging, responsive newsletters. Moosend provides you with segmentation tools, powerful personalization features, campaign reports, and advanced A/B testing options to power up your email marketing strategy. All with their free forever plan. Upgrade to the Pro plan for unlimited visitor tracking, landing pages, integrations, and so much more. Go to postfun.info/ads to sign up today and let them know that Raymond sent you.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that authentic and heartfelt ad read. Alex did a great job with that, and we thank him for it.
Hey,
thank you, Alex.
Yeah, no, I worked really hard on that. I studied about that really hard.
Was very impressed with all the accents that you sent us too, all the different takes. That
Thank you.
And you were doing I like the one where you were doing the clumps thing, where you were all the different characters, but it was like a dramatic clumps where you were, consoling one of the other clumps about, the abortion they had just gotten.
It really was a tearjerker, honestly, all tied back to the sponsor. I was very impressed.
So episode 2.
Episode 2, Season 1, Episode 2 of Everybody.
What was the title of this one?
Want to take a guess, Mike?
Can I take? You want me to take a guess?
Take
was
a
it
guess.
I Love You?
Yeah,
Was
it
the name of the episode I Love You? Awesome.
Yes, it was.
All right. I have a lot of thoughts on this episode, generally speaking, before we dive into we can walk through beat by beat. I'm fine with that. But just overall, I thought this was a really, really interesting departure. Last episode, for those of you that might have been a while since you've sat and listened to our classic 2-hour special. Last episode, we talked a bit about ranking Ray as a dad. He was a genuinely kind of a good dad in this. He was trying. We saw him put effort in.
Mike, I was waiting until we got to the podcast to tell you this, but I'm not entirely in agreement with you here.
Really?
I hard disagree with you.
I think he was trying.
Well,
I think he was putting effort in.
That's strange because I'm usually the nice one. Mike.
Under the framework that we set out in the first episode, in Act 4 of the first episode after intermission, we said that we were going to be evaluating him not just as his performance as a father, but also as a husband.
Right.
And as a husband, Jesus Christ, I mean...
Yeah, that's kind of where my problems lie as well.
Mm-hmm.
To clarify, we're using a 1 to 10 scale meter, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst, and we left Ray off, I believe, at an agreed
we
upon
ranked him as a 5 last time. Yeah.
And, plenty of potential to go up and down. And I'm excited to kind of see how he goes throughout this episode and where he ends up.
I figured out how to pronounce it. So we were going back and we knew we wanted to do a play on barometer that incorporated Barone. I spent a long time
I can't wait.
trying to figure out how to put these two words together, and the best I came up with was Baronmeter.
Baronmeter?
That's not bad. A
Yeah.
little clunky still, but you know what? We'll take it.
Look, I try, because if you take away too many letters from Barone, it just becomes barometer, and it becomes
True.
meaningless.
Yeah.
Why
But-
not just barometer?
Well, I think the way that you're pronouncing it is just a slightly different. How are you spelling it in your mind with barometer?
Barone and then mater.
See, to me, that reads as barometer. I see that as an additional syllable.
Okay.
How about Barone? What about Barone hyphen meter? And we pronounce it Baronmeter.
I fucking hate that. I gotta just
All right.
honestly, you dare bring a hyphen
This is a
into
hyphen-free zone, my friend.
All right.
my podcast? This is, by the way, I'm taking over. I'm the host, and now you two are my sidekicks because of those hyphens. If
Hey,
you
I had nothing to do
apologize,
with
you
that.
get promoted back. Okay, so Alex and
I'm
I
not
are the
gonna-
co-hosts.
I'm not going to apologize for my hyphen. I stand by it. Dan.
All right, Mike, you're our forever guest.
All right. That's fair.
Why don't we just start at the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
With
Well-
the classic bit.
One thing that I wanted to say before is just to note some of the changes from the pilot,
Yes.
which we do see in the cold open. So the big change is the set has been not completely redesigned, but there's a good number of changes to the set.
Mhm.
Maybe, they get a little more money from Les Moonves, the disgraced former president of CBS. Disavowed.
Was he
Yeah, disavowed.
disavowed? But was he working on Raymond?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There are some stories on the Wikipedia page. Nothing salacious, but he's mentioned a couple times.
Okay.
So they probably got a little bit more money. They could make a nicer set, and they did. I like this is the classic set that lives in my memory that
Same.
I'm going to decorate my own house like if this podcast takes off and I can afford a house. We need
Don't-
Tear it all down and reconstruct the Raymond set
exactly.
brick by brick.
Yeah. But the other change from the pilot is the twins, who we'll see in a later scene. We'll see an awful lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
They were recast. So Madeline Sweeten, who plays Allie, her brothers Sawyer and Sullivan get cast to replace the twins from the pilot, whose names I'm not going to look up. And they also changed the names of the twins to Jeffrey and Michael, which they are for the rest of the... Yeah, we talked about it last time.
I think, we talked about this last time.
I thought they survived as Matthew and Gregory for an entire season. I didn't realize that they... I don't think... Did we get a twins name drop in this?
Not this one, I don't think.
Okay. But yeah,
Oh,
I
really?
thought that it was an entire season. But okay, yeah.
I'm pretty sure, that seems like something that would change right after the pilot.
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of changes that happen, from pilot to the rest of the season.
Right,
Yeah. I agree. That was probably they probably had a nice little lunchtime session where Phil Rosenthal and Ray Romano sat across from each other in that legendary writer's room.
Probably.
And what if we took that approach to this podcast of revering old Hollywood, the glamour.
I'm already... I mean, I already hold them in the highest regards. They're the...
That's
the
how
pinnacle.
you feel privately, but you didn't feel like it would match the tone that we had
That's
set.
That's exactly right. I think all of human history was meant to create the English language, and the English language was leading up to the perfect series that is Everybody Loves Raymond. That's my feeling. And now we're done.
Agree.
Yeah.
Now we're done?
Now we're done. There's no point in making any other media.
Oh,
We've done
okay.
it. We've peaked out.
Everybody loves them.
Yeah.
In terms of all media, we were building towards Raymond, and then Raymond in turn, and the 15 odd years since Raymond's been on the air, was building to this.
Yes,
podcast.
exactly.
This
exactly.
is,
There was BELR, ELR, BELELR, and now we're in the ELELR era of humanity.
We are truly the post-modern version of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
Where it's almost metatextual, in fact. All right, so let's get into the episode then. So like you mentioned, the cold open.
Something familiar happens.
Something familiar about the cold open. Almost not word for word, but after a couple of words, then it's word for word.
Pretty
almost.
damn close. Yeah.
So Ray is conducting a phone interview with Tommy Lasorda, who I Lasorda know about only in the sense that he's nothing. Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
I got it.
one.
Recognized.
Yeah, I got it.
only know that he's a baseball person. And so let's throw it over to Sporty Barone.
Yeah, sports guy.
This can be your segment.
This can be my... Whenever they reference a sports guy, it's my turn.
Yeah, let's drop a jingle. Okay.
Sports guy. All right, there you go. I'll be honest. See, I am a huge Mets fan. I'm a fan of the New York Mets. Tommy Lasorda, though, was a player and manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers. So he's a little bit outside my experience. I don't know too much about him, besides the fact that he was altogether, by almost all intents, not very good while he was a player. He finished his career with the Brooklyn Dodgers, which eventually moved to the Los Angeles Dodgers, with a major league career of an 0-4 record as a pitcher and a 6.52 ERA after pitching in only 26 games. In other words, he sucks. But he became famous as becoming a coach and later on the manager of the LA Dodgers. He was clearly a recognizable name, but what's interesting to me is that it says here that his career ended in 1996, which is when this episode aired. So I'm wondering if the implication is that Ray Barone is interviewing Tommy Lasorda as kind of a, final reflections on his career as an MLB manager.
Mike, I think that's actually what he said in the episode. I think, now that you're retiring, where do you think you're gonna go? And then he leads into the bit.
In which case, that's a huge get for Newsday as a whole. Forget about Ray Barone.
Ripped from the headline. What is this, Law and Order? Special Barone's unit?
I can't believe they got him. Even on the phone, he answered. Well, he was there.
Well, we don't hear him on the other end of the phone. I feel like he may as well have been saying, President Nixon, thank you so much for agreeing to talk to me. Like, it literally could have been anyone.
The reason they didn't get that is because Nixon was probably busy.
Yeah,
it's TV, Adam. They can't lie to us. Guys, Tommy Lasorda was on the other end of that phone call.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. I think it's illegal to lie on TV.
Oh. Sports guy. Okay.
Sports guy.
And that was your segment.
Thank you very much.
I love that for you. Because there are, actually, I did look at IMDb. Tommy Lasorda himself in person does come on the show in 2 episodes. Yeah.
Oh, crap.
So
that's a big get.
Yeah. And then I know Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is on the show at some point. So we'll have plenty of opportunities to throw to Sports Guy.
Yeah, Sports
My
Guy.
favorite, the 1986 Mets eventually make an appearance, so I'll be all over that one.
All of them?
Yeah.
Great. Adam, we don't even have to go to that episode, Adam. That could just be Mike.
I could just be talking about the 86 Mets. There are enough documentaries about the 86 Mets that I could just talk about them for 3 hours.
Can I ask you a question? Is that...
Yeah.
When was Keith Hernandez?
1986.
Okay, because here's the Venn diagram between you and me. Is Keith Hernandez actually had a recurring arc on Seinfeld?
He did, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that's how I know who that is. And then you actually know who that is. So together we make a whole person.
So here's the thing. Okay, Keith Hernandez was on the 1986 Mets. He also currently serves as one of the announcers for every single Mets game. Like, if you watched on TV, you'll hear the voice of Keith Hernandez. He talks about Seinfeld not infrequently. Like, it comes up a couple times a season that he talks about his experiences with, like, the Magic Loogie episode and all of that stuff. It's really kind of cool.
He drops in occasional, or not an occasional, but a frequent, when Jerry and I were on set, like things like that.
It's more of like, Jerry's a big Mets fan, so he will occasionally drop by the booth himself, and sometimes they'll just, they'll be referencing 1986, and Gary, or Ron, like the co-anchors of the program, will occasionally be like, hey, yeah, it was like that time that you spit on, Jerry or Kramer, I think it was, and Keith will just be like, yeah, I remember back then. People, and they will go on like an anecdote about it. It's it's fun.
I, for one, can't believe that they got Barry B. Benson himself to show up for a Mets game.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. It's a big get for them too. Yeah.
the three of us, we tie in nicely to this because the three of us were at Jerry Seinfeld Day at Citi Field.
Yeah.
And we still have the
bobbleheads, and we got to see him throw out the first pitch from, I believe, the last row.
literally behind us was a fence, and behind that was the parking lot. We were right there. Yeah.
Good times.
It was a great day.
That was great.
We're friends.
Yeah. Just to prove to anyone that doubted. Is that
we hung out once.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, sports guy. Tommy Lasorda is on the phone. Ray is interviewing him about his retirement. This is ripped from the headlines. And then Allie walks into the living room from the kitchen holding a cookie. And I guess I can pull it up and play it, but I don't know if it's even worth that because we heard it last time.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
The same. Hold on. Gotta go scrub. And fast forward a little bit.
Where do you think you're going with that cookie? Put the cookie down! Oh, no, not you, Mr. Lasorda, no. Did I scared you? Oh, I didn't mean to scare you. Oh, I didn't know you were eating a cookie.
So if that's the first time you're hearing that joke, that's good. Like, that's a great
bit.
But if you're a true Barone believer, it's not the first time you've heard that joke.
It is.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm
one
still
of the few jokes that you might, that Ray told that got him this show. So if you're on the inside of this, the entire process of production is probably, okay, where can we put the cookie bit? Where can we put the keys bit? Where can we put, the bilingual Burger King bit? I don't know if they managed to work that one in. That's pretty specific.
That was a bit of a stretch.
I don't remember it.
I'll be honest. Like, I'm totally okay with them putting this joke in here. Like, that's what happens with a lot of comedian stand-ups. I know that happened with Seinfeld. It happens all the time with, I mentioned this last week, but it happens all the time with Ted Lasso. Like, that character makes jokes in Ted Lasso that he made in the commercials too. So, if it's a good bit, don't let it hang out to dry. I'm good for it.
95% of the audience will hear that joke there for the first time.
Yeah.
I think it works really well in this context. Like, I think getting to see it in the situation that he's describing brings it up, like, just a little bit. And if I hadn't seen that clip and we hadn't talked about that clip, we would be saying, that's a really strong scene. I really like this cold open, and then just gone about our merry day. But I don't know. It's just interesting to note where things are reused. And like you're saying, It happens all the time. I'm not holding it against them. Just interesting. So then we see the classic playset opening again, which we talked about last time. We're not huge fans of. We find it confusing. I
liked it.
Okay. Now we have some controversy.
No, all right. I feel like I said this last time, and if I didn't, that was because I just wasn't paying attention, which is also very possible.
I also want to say, I didn't mention this last week, but he commits the sin of saying that he lives in Long Island. It's not how it's said.
Well, can I tell you a interesting factoid is that the show was originally not going to be set on Long Island, since Ray is actually from Queens.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that.
So it would have been set in Queens if not for there was some other show on the air that was set in Queens.
Something about a king.
No, not yet. Not quite. I don't remember. And I'm not going to look at... Maybe it was because The Nanny was set in Queens. I don't know.
I thought King of Queens predated Raymond, but all right.
They are, I think, 1 year off of each other.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Because...
That's pretty close.
Kevin... what's his name? Kevin...
James.
I was going to say Kevin Smith. Kevin James is on this show as just a
friend,
a recurring character. But then later, and we'll talk about this as it comes up, but then later he and Ray cross over as Ray Barone and Doug Heffernan from King of Queens a couple times.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's the same universe. Wow.
Same universe.
We gotta find a King of Queens podcast and do a crossover episode with them.
I think we can just not do that and
All right, we'll just won't do that then. Next scene.
we could just
Next scene.
No.
Yeah, there we go.
We're at Nemo's.
I was going to say we can just do it ourselves as like a fun little bonus episode. We can do that episode of The King of Queens.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm sorry for shutting down all of your ideas.
It was funny, though.
Alex just wants to make friends.
No,
on
I
this
just...
podcast. That's his... yeah.
Yeah, let's find a Friends podcast and
Oh,
hang out with
let's do
them.
it.
Yeah.
I've never seen Friends.
Maybe that could be we'll do a spin-off where it's just you alone in your room and you've just watched an episode of Friends and you just talk to yourself about it.
That's a great episode for a Friends rewatch podcast. I Need Friends.
Yeah, that's a good premise.
It's the Friends
that's a
logo.
good title. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Anyway, we're at
this is Alex's last episode before he goes big.
Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah. Spotify just called. They're offering you a deal for $14 million per episode.
No, thanks.
Yeah. But you
no
have
Raymond
to
in
have Joe Rogan on every time.
Every single time.
It's not worth it.
Chandler looks like he eats elk meat.
If
Sorry.
anyone,
anyway.
no, you know what? Let's talk about it. If anyone on the Friends cast, we're at 45 minutes. If anyone on the Friends cast were to, what podcasts do you think each of the Friends listen to? I think Joey is a Joe Rogan guy. Not
You
just
think
because
Joey
of the
is?
name. I think
I
Joey
thought
is.
Chandler would be.
No, I think Chandler probably listens to Conan or like Dax Shepard, and he's like, one of these days, my sarcastic comments are going to get me on with Conan.
Mm-hmm.
Conan's going to want to be my friend.
So what's where does Ross fit into this? What's the podcast
Ross
for
is
just
listening
horrible
to
people?
for sociopaths.
For sociopaths, yeah, exactly.
Ross doesn't listen to podcasts. He listens to like court testimony of people who've been kidnapped.
He listens to the Barone report. That's what Ross listens to.
Okay, so let's we're
All the
we're
girls
at
just
Nemo's.
listen to Call Her Daddy. Yeah, okay, scene 2. There we go.
We're at Nemo's.
God damn it, we're at Nemo's. So this is, I think, one of the this is like the first big set that the show builds for a place they're not going to go every week. And it kind of gives you an idea of Ray and Deborah's world outside of their block where they live across from Marie and Frank. And
Absolutely.
of course, it's an Italian restaurant because they're the Barones. You've
But
heard
also,
them reported on. These are the Barones.
And they're also
To be fair, Adam, Limbrook, there's only like 20 restaurants. 17 of them are pizza places.
Well, yeah, we're on Long Island. You blink, you're gonna you turn around, you're gonna find an Italian restaurant on
Right.
Long Island. Yeah, it's like the primary cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm complaining. I love it.
No.
But yeah,
Are
Absolutely.
you?
Pizza and bagels.
I am 50% Italian by heritage. Do you?
Okay.
Either of you? You're like Irish, right, Mike?
yes,
And Alex, you're.
I am the Italian as well. My mom's side is Sicily. My mom's dad's side is Germany. I don't know. I got to do or something. Give my
Yeah.
DNA to the government.
We're not sponsored by.
Give him a Deborah.
Yeah, give him a Deborah.
It's just a DNA testing
free rides.
site.
Yeah,
yeah.
the DNA testing site of your choice.
Yes.
But all that just to say, I spent most of my life going to Italian restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all, again, just like the set, warm and nostalgic. I'm remembering what it's like to be, at a red and white checker tablecloth place. And
Yep.
I think this is just good set design to
It
me.
is.
This
Anyway.
this is old. This is true American Italian cuisine. The Pope watching over your back.
Exactly.
Watching
Let's
your
talk
shoe.
about
loved
that
that
set. That's a
JP2 was
great-
just watching over their shoulder. I loved that little bit. Yeah.
All right. You want to
Yeah,
be
that's
Pope
really
guy
funny.
too, Mike?
What?
You want to be Pope guy too?
Do I want to be? I don't know enough about church history to be Pope guy.
All right. Well, it's not you.
You've gotten mad at me in the past is that the one that I called a Nazi and you were mad at me?
No, that was Benedict that you called the Nazi, Benedict the 16th, who was the successor to JP2. So Benedict
so
isn't
JP
around yet.
is all right.
Well, I mean, he probably he probably played well. He was old. He was senile. He wasn't really that great. But like, people got away. The reason the church scandal got as big as it was probably because JP2 was in charge. But he's a saint, so we love him. So.
Disavowed.
I'm not going to do that, but you know, I'm going to disavow the scandal. I'll say that.
I'll do a whole milk disavow.
All right.
Okay. Anyway,
he's a saint. He's one of the great popes of history. Anyway, continue.
So Ray remarks about the Pope watching over them. I don't remember what the joke is, but it was good.
Yep.
And then, so this is the episode. If you remember in the pilot, we knew of Deborah having one friend. Now, this does not cancel out the existence of Lisa, but in this episode,
Linda.
We meet Linda. Not necessarily the same person. It's possible. We meet Bernie and Linda. So Bernie is played by Tom McGowan, who's a very recognizable character actor that you've seen in a million things. Mm-hmm. Linda, speaking of our friends, the Friends, is Maggie Wheeler, who played Janice on Friends. So
that's good for her.
Yes. So she is rolling in fat residual checks right now. And, you know, I've seen her in a couple of different things. And she is versatile. She is not just Janice. I stand for Maggie Wheeler.
Okay,
I'll stand too.
I haven't found someone to stand for yet, but Alex got Frank. You got Maggie.
I got
Wheeler.
Linda.
You got Linda. I'll find my guy eventually. For me,
yes. Well, maybe JP too.
I don't.
If you refuse to disavow, you're not going to stand for him. But
I don't think JP2 makes a guest appearance on Everybody Loves Raymond.
I mean, we got a lot of episodes to go. You don't know.
That's true.
I don't know.
Kareem
did it.
I'll probably stand for Kareem or for Keith Hernandez. Probably one of those two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're sitting at the table, and Ray is kind of fucking mean to them, not only because they're showing each other a little bit of affection, they're being, sweet to each other, maybe a little more than you would on a double date, but
it's
excessive. Not like, well, this is going to be a topic of debate for us, I think, because I don't think what they're doing at first is too bad, where they're just sort of like, being, cooing over each other and stuff, but Ray is kind of mean to them in shaming them for doing that, and then he sort of calls Bernie fat, which is
that's not cool.
That's mean also. But then I am a little bit on his side, especially because it appears to be a family restaurant. Once they start like feeling each other up, Bernie and Linda, it does get a little excessive.
Mm-hmm.
But during this live sex show that's going on in Ray and Deborah sort of go back and forth a little bit about showing affection, and Ray not always doing that, or not really doing that at all, I should say.
I think the line was Deborah saying, like, in response to like Bernie and Linda going at it, like, "Oh, you got something for me, Ray?" And then Ray said, like, "A gun."
Something like, I don't know if it was a gun.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know if it was a gun, but it was something like that.
No, pull it up. I want to prove to you that I'm right.
All right, cool.
Here we go.
I think it was near the end of the
skip intro.
It was near the end of that scene.
Buffering.
I watched this episode twice. I think I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, ads are over. Okay, we're in Nemo's. Let me get to the... Okay, here we go.
You got what I need, Ray.
Gun?
There it is.
Oh, hey!
What did I tell you?
You were right.
I also want to point out...
Yeah.
We didn't talk about it. Can we comment on how the waitress just had a lit cigarette dangling from her mouth as she delivered the food?
I think that's funny. Yeah, I think that's
it's
a funny choice.
Very funny, but also like it wasn't commented on or anything like that. And I was just, I don't trust Nemos now. That's my thing.
Yeah,
It was 20.
that's kind of
25
like
years ago.
putting no, I don't think that you could smoke and handle food at the same time in 1990s. Maybe, I don't know.
No one's going to tweet about it, that's for sure.
That's
true.
That is true.
Susie the waitress would get so canceled.
She would get sacked. That would be it. That would be it.
That is Susan Varon as Susie the waitress, who's in a total of 8 episodes.
Oh, well, good for her.
I wrote that
Look
down.
at that. But yeah.
So yeah, Ray offers to kill Deborah because their friends love each other.
I mean, okay, I think you're being a bit. It was a lot. What they were straight up making out at the table. It's just it's, like, come on, man.
I think at this point it's a lot.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Alex.
Deborah was clearly like kind of like looking for a little bit of affection, not that level, but just like, like a nice kiss would be nice around dinner. Ray was just not having it. He was not receptive to the signs his wife was putting out. I think that's a bad sign for him as a husband. I think at the end, kind of what Deborah sees and gets reassured about is that Ray demonstrates his love for her in nonverbal ways. So I
that's what I think. I was about to hit on that point too. That like this is very much about verbal communication. His inability, his unwillingness, his uncomfortableness with saying the words "I love you."
I think they both have a point. I think Deborah has more of a point,
definitely.
But I like that Ray tries to understand why he's like this. Like, he doesn't just try to fix it and fails. Like, he's interested in understanding why he's like this, and that leads him to go to his source of upbringing,
right? And
that leads to the whole episode.
Yeah, he does at the end of the episode show her that he cares and that he's invested in this relationship and he wants to be available and show his love in nonverbal ways, things like that. But I don't think we see that throughout the episode.
No, not at all.
I think, and this is honestly a whole psychological wormhole that I went down with, like, the way that their relationship works. I wrote that I think she wants him to care enough about her to communicate and validate things about their relationship. In whatever manner that is done, I think she's not getting it up to this point, and this is just the most visible representation of it.
I like that.
Yeah. Let's get back to this sequential thing. So with Linda and Bernie being so horny, so we're up to, I think, 5 in our running horny count of Ray, Deborah, Old Spice, Bernie, and Linda.
There you go.
Yep, that's right.
I think so.
So those are the horny people. I wondered if, because in the pilot, Ray was almost fanatically horny. Is this inconsistent, or is it context dependent that he is so puritanical about this?
I keep jumping the gun because I keep getting the answers to your questions before you finished asking them. I thought about this a little bit as well when I was watching it, where it was like, Deborah is asking him for verbal assurance that he loves her. I felt like a classic Ray move would be to demonstrate his love through sex as a cover to get sex. Like, that's kind of what I thought he would try first,
In the pilot, his whole MO was sort of appeasement and, like, not having conflict. And it's weird that he would, like, take a stand on this or, not have learned at this point in their relationship. I think we worked out that they've been together for, like, almost 10 years at this point.
Right, yeah.
That he wouldn't have, figured out some psychological backflip to where he could, at least, even if it's unnatural to him, at least give her what she wants, give her what she needs to feel reassured about the health of their relationship.
I will say his desire to avoid confrontation is very consistent in this episode.
That is true.
His entire, like, half the episode happens because he very much does not want to have a sincere talk with Deborah.
Yeah, he's trying to avoid it at literally every turn.
And I will scold Deborah just a little bit for being a very hard nut to crack when Ray asks her if something's wrong, and she's very resistant to actually tell him if anything is wrong when something was bugging her.
I had a different read on that. So let's get to that in just a second, because that is, I think, a really loaded. Not like loaded. This is Everybody Loves Raymond.
It's a dumb fun scene. Yeah.
We've already gotten too fucking deep into this.
Well, look, I think
we're talking about their psychology and like the health of their relationship, but
that's what they're here for. That's what everyone's here for.
Yeah, just the overanalysis.
Everyone. Yeah. So Ray and Deborah go home after Nemo's, and Ray is aware enough to know that something appears to be wrong. They come in. Deborah's not. She sort of brushes over it because Marie and Frank are there. Frank is in the living room. He's taught Allie how to do a Marlon Brando impression from A Streetcar Named Desire.
That was
very
cute.
adorable.
Which is
That was an adorable scene.
It's adorable. That play is about a abusive man who nearly sexually assaults his sister-in-law.
Okay, so yes, you're 100% right. The play is fucked up. The impression is adorable. Like, both of those things are true at the same time.
Spot on. Yeah. It's just, I think there's something about Everybody Loves Raymond where if you don't, I don't think you're supposed to think about it too hard, because, like, did they watch the movie or is he just giving it to her out of context?
Same thing for the next line, which is from another Marlon Brando classic, The Godfather, which is also a super violent movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, I think this podcast works because we're able to kind of take that extra look at everything and see that it's actually kind of like strange when the actual pitch of Everybody Loves Raymond was come home from your exhausting 9 to 5 and watch the funny Muppet Man talk about how hard it is having kids.
Genuinely. Also, by the way, about Marie in that scene, clearly no lessons learned from the last episode.
Nope.
Yeah, so this is what we were talking about last time, is like, does anything matter episode to episode? Marie was down in Ray's basement office and wondering, she asks him why he locked his desk drawer.
And he had to dance around the issue.
Yeah, and then she mentions offhand, which I found very funny, she's like, oh, okay, I broke a knife.
Yeah.
And
it's a good line.
Which I think the characterization of Marie as being someone who is just compulsively snooping is funny, and I'm glad that they keep doing it.
Yes.
Just a little line about, like, maybe off to the side, Deborah being like, she didn't learn anything from that speech you gave on my birthday. Like,
just some kind of continuity.
Just a little continuity.
Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we all understand why it's not there, but I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So then Robert comes downstairs in a towel, which is not quite. He's not going into the horny count, but let's start a new count. I don't know, a sex count, a sexy count. I don't know.
Are you saying that it's Robert's hot? Is that where this is going?
I'm saying that there were probably people at home who were like, okay, Robert coming down the stairs, a little sopping.
How many times do you think Brad Garrett got laid based on that scene alone? That's my question.
We can ask him. Let's order a cameo from him.
And that's the question we ask.
And that's what we wanted to see.
We are single-handedly going to make Brad Garrett's we're going to pay for his retirement by asking him various questions about ELR.
Mike, Brad Garrett's fine. He's fine. He has enough money.
Yeah, it's probably right.
Yeah.
It's probably right. Yeah. He's got people paying him $750 for cameo, so.
Well, depending on how our ad reads were really good. So I think we're going to get there to where we can ask him as many questions as we want. And fun fact, Cameo owns the rights to every cameo. So we actually could not play that on the show.
Oh, that's a thing.
But we could read a transcript.
There you go. Okay, cool.
So, yeah, the dream is alive. All right, so Robert, by way of explanation, is naked and wet because he took a shower. This was interesting. What is this sort of man-child angle of Robert doesn't like to be alone in the house, and then there are a couple other things where it's like, this is not the Robert we come to know who is just sort of stuck. This is like a Robert who is like stunted in an emotional or maturity way. You know what I mean?
I'm interested in what is going to happen because I don't know if they changed his characterization or if it later comes out that Marie and Frank are misunderstanding what he's going through. I genuinely don't know the answer to that at this moment. But you're right.
Yeah.
You think that the thought that's in everybody's head is, this guy's like 40 years old. Why is he scared to be alone?
Last week we did mention kind of how long it's been since we've watched the show, and for me, I watched it the most recent, and my memory dictates that Robert's kind of like this for a lot of the show, and I think it makes sense based on how Marie treats him. She doesn't allow him to grow up. I think the only reason Ray grew up even a little bit was because he got Deborah.
So actually that kind of makes sense because I remember that like Robert does become his own person, but that's really during the Stefania and Amy arc.
When he starts to like form relationships other than with his family.
Yeah. So yeah, actually.
I knew it changed at some point, and I
think that's when it really happens.
I think I remember it, being like an organic, like the rare moment of continuity in this show where Robert gains confidence, and then we see that reflected throughout the remaining episodes. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where that inflection point is.
Yeah, we'll talk about that 6 years from now when we get to see
exactly. Yeah. But still, it's going to be pretty fun.
Yes. So Robert casually mentions that he broke the shower, and that's a good transition into the next scene where they're in the bedroom. Ray comes into the bedroom holding not just the shower head, but the entire chunk of the wall the shower was attached to.
I'm just going to say it. That's such a funny bit. Like that Robert's secretly a superhuman. I love that so much.
I was going to say, like, it's like, does he have like Hulk powers or did you not want to make Robert? I mean, we established last time you probably don't want to make Robert angry because he's a hair trigger with that gun that he always carries around. But I think that's... We wondered last time if the show gets into the territory of like unbelievability at all, and I don't think we're quite there yet, but it's very shocking that Robert would be able to just rip an entire shower head and some wall
that's great.
Through his brute strength.
He said it must have been a little loose because, I mean, when he went to Jiffy it, he freaking just destroyed the whole thing.
Well, that brings us to the Ray asking Deborah, sort of changing the subject. He still thinks something's wrong. He assumes it's his mom. I thought the sort of run of "she broke our knife, let's kill her" that was really funny.
It definitely
the
was.
Delivery, that was the first time in these two episodes that like Ray's delivery was like, that's funny.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah.
Like just
where it wasn't just the concept behind it. It was like he's actually doing a good job of delivering.
Let's kill her.
I think his acting does get notably better.
It's so much better.
In this scene.
Yeah. Even in this episode.
I don't think it's as good as it eventually gets to be, and it's certainly not as good as it is now. I think Ray in modern times has given some really good dramatic performances. But
The Irishman.
Yeah, The Irishman, of course, which keep an ear out for our commentary track. But I think on the spectrum of the pilot, where he hasn't done any acting at all, and The Irishman, he's gone from a 0 to a 1.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe even a 2. Like he's getting better,
forward.
and I think you can see that in some of his line delivery. So Deborah doesn't admit, but she broaches the subject that Ray is not affectionate towards her, that he never says, "I love you." I find personally Ray's attitude about sort of public affection to be kind of puritanical, which again, I just noted it because it was inconsistent with the pilot. I felt like that Ray was like all, horny all the time.
I don't think it contradicts, because we only saw Ray horny in the confines of his own home.
Yeah, we don't really see him.
That's true, but
we don't see him out in public that often. In the pilot, anyway.
But they are home, and he's still sort of hemming and hawing about it.
Are you saying that he's hemming and hawing about it while they're in the bedroom? She says, like, you're saying he should have been kissing her right then and there.
No, I'm saying he is, when they're talking about generally showing affection, he's acting like, in this scene, like he wasn't a super horn dog an unknown amount of time before in the previous episode.
Right.
What he's saying reads to me as a guy who is generally not comfortable showing affection, even in private. So if that's the character choice that they're making for him moving forward, fine. And then we get to see him grow out of that at the end of the episode.
Here's the thing, too. Physical and emotional affection are pretty different things, or can be very different things. Like, Ray could be very comfortable being physically, there with Deborah, but kind of get uncomfortable about, talking or, expressing how he's feeling.
It's a decent point. And I guess you're saying that, in the different contexts, the physical affection takes on a different meaning, that kind of thing?
Yeah, when Ray, is expressing his inner horn dog, it's more about, the physical pleasure he is excited to experience.
I like that we've created this sub character for Ray called Horn Dog Ray, where he just is ready for it.
That's my new Twitter handle.
Horn Dog Ray.
And Deborah even says, and I don't mean shouting it out during sex in regards to I love you. So I think you're right that Ray probably, and this is probably what is so disheartening to Deborah, is like, oh, you only love me, or you only truly value me on your terms when I can, provide you with physical affection. And I think that is sort of her motivation in this episode.
I think so too.
I think the thesis statement for our podcast is becoming Ray and Deborah should go to marriage counseling. That seems to be where this is going.
Come on the podcast.
Just get divorced. Honestly,
Well, I think that I don't know about that, because I do think that they have their issues, but I do think that they have a good. I think they're trying to get to the fact that it's not a super unhealthy thing. They both enjoy the family that they started. I don't know if that's kind of where the, I don't know if that's where the writers are leading us to think about. I think that they're genuinely trying to present a realistic relationship. Whether or not that's true is up to debate, but I think that's what they're going for. I don't think it's supposed to be. I don't think we're supposed to feel like. At least I don't think we're supposed to feel that Ray and Deborah are bad for each other. Maybe living across the street from their parents are, but I think that's a separate thing.
No, I think first of all, I don't think the writers thought about it as much as we are. But my personal take on this is that Ray and Deborah are not bad for each other. I think Ray does not have the communicative or emotional tools, at least in this episode, to fully participate in their relationship. And I feel for Deborah entirely, that is not what I understand that they're 10 years in, and they're, maybe some of the bloom is off the rose, as they say, but I don't think she should tolerate it, honestly.
I think Ray is just not emotionally mature enough to handle this.
Yeah.
And I think that does stem from his parents. And if you'll indulge me, this conversation about kind of Ray and Deborah reminded me of probably my favorite quote from a show called BoJack Horseman, which I talk about with Mike
all
way
the
too
time.
much, all too much. It's it's my favorite show.
It's a good show.
There's a quote from like a one or two time appearing character, and this scene that he's in is set in like probably like the 30s or 40s, and he's with his wife, and his wife is like kind of like crying, and she's obviously very upset, and he just goes like, well, as a modern American man, I'm not prepared to handle a woman's emotions. I was never taught, and I will not learn. And then he leaves.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That entirely sums up Ray.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing that. That's very good.
Of course.
So, the end of this scene, Ray finally, like all emotionally stunted men, gets frustrated and just asks her what she wants. And I felt like Patricia Heaton's performance in response to that was like really surprisingly like real and like honest. Like I think up until this point in the scene, she's trying to slowly be vulnerable and sort of tell Ray how she's honestly feeling and sort of hint at a movement towards change in their relationship. And he reacts with frustration. And I think you really see her be sort of cowed by that. And you can almost see her like emotionally withdrawing at that point. She crosses her arms and sort of like changes the subject or starts to change the subject.
Is that when
I don't know.
Is that when she turns off the lights and gives up?
Yeah.
Like it from her perspective, right? Like the whole night is Ray going, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong? And then she tells him what's wrong, and then he shuts her down for it.
Yeah. I think it's just, we were talking last time that we don't really get much character development from Deborah. I thought just that like physicality change
Was great.
At the end of this scene, like told us so much about where their relationship is at this point, what her, and again, we're thinking about this more than we should, or, it gave us a peek into her inner life that developed, I think just that developed her character a lot.
I think so too.
That's my read on it.
I agree.
And then the episode ends with a lovely little bit where, she has that really emotional kind of like thought and then shuts off the light and Ray's like, wait, I have to pack.
Yeah. He's like, hey, I'm still packing here.
I thought that was delightful.
It was a nice little joke. Okay.
Anyway, next scene.
So the next morning, Deborah is giving breakfast to the kids. Ray comes in and he gives her a card, which is a nice card. And, it shows, I think this is like, we kind of see Ray having that, like, making that nonverbal effort.
Well, it's also a half-assed attempt.
I think this brings it down for me. This brings Ray down a point for me because, like, he did this to get her to stop complaining.
It was in the card was in the fucking bag. He didn't even put it in the envelope.
It was an
it
was an empty gesture. It actually was in the envelope, but he put the envelope back in the bag.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is it that hard to just carry the envelope?
I don't know.
Where are we on the Baronmeter for Ray now? Because I'm sort of hovering at like a 2.
I'm gonna give him like a 3. I don't think he can justify much higher than that. But yeah, I'm somewhere around there.
I am. I was thinking 4. I think I'm also gonna go down to 3. I'm with Mike on this one. I think between the way he acted with Deborah the previous night and then this empty gesture in an attempt not to make her feel good, but to just resolve and end this like problem, and then it not ending, and then him complaining more. I'm going to put him at a 3 right now.
I think it's interesting that he thinks that the card saying "I love you" will somehow absolve him of the need to change.
Yep.
I think that's sort of been up to this point, at least, Ray's whole motivation is like, if I just appease them, I'm not going to have to change.
It flashes me back to a bit of, believe it or not, Kevin James stand-up, where he makes a joke. It's basically, he makes a joke about like how, you know, his I forget if he said if it was his girlfriend or his wife, whatever, gets really, really excited whenever he brings home a card from the store. And he makes a bit about how, like, it's not really much of an effort because he fills it out at the stop sign. He does some good physical comedy. But this strikes me as, like, Ray saw that bit of comedy and took it seriously as, like, oh, that's how I get out of this mess. Yeah.
Well, also, Ray didn't fill it out.
No, he did. You're right.
This is a he wrote, I don't remember what Deborah said, but he wrote. Yeah.
I have to enunciate with this. He wrote, okay, Ray. And then I just have to stress, Raymond Barone is a professional writer.
That's such a true point. That's so true.
Honestly.
Well, listen, he can't.
That's a great point.
If he got Tommy Lasorda to get on the phone and tell Deborah that she loved her, that would be a different kind of conversation, I think. He wins sports writer of the year at one point. You're absolutely right about that. He's an accomplished,
yes,
writer.
He could have made his own.
He has a way with words.
He does,
yeah.
And look, if he just took like a piece of regular printer paper, computer paper, folded it in half, and wrote her a card, I think she would have loved it like a million times more.
100%. I'm with you.
Or just fucking said it.
Yeah.
You know? And this, like, as the scene progresses, so obviously Deborah thinks the card is not enough and she shouldn't. So, again, she's in the right here. I just wrote down Ray sucks. But then we find out that he can say it really easily to his kids, but not his wife, which that's like sociopathic. Like that's weird. That brings him down to like a 1 for me. Like that detail.
Well, if we're talking about
garbage.
the barometer as like a as a dad thing, I think it's a bit different. But husband, you're right. This probably is down low.
This is where it gets foggy on the barometer, the barometer. The thing is that it counts him as both a father and a mother. So do those cancel each other out?
Father and a husband?
What did I say?
Father and mother.
Mother.
Oh, whoops.
Listen, if we're judging Ray on the idea of a mother, I think he's like below. Yes. I think he's in the negatives.
Oh yeah.
Did he ever breastfeed those children? I don't think so.
I think it's a no.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay. But obviously Deborah finds this unacceptable and leaves the room. And this is a momentous occasion because as she leaves the room, we get this.
Come on, it's all here, the cards. Deborah! Deborah!
Stella!
There it is.
There's the punchline.
Yeah. Nice little callback. That is our first classic Deborah. Honestly, I'm relieved that it's not a like Mandela effect thing where he never actually calls out for Deborah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
You put it on the counter.
1.
And they'll just
1 Deborah.
It'll stay at 1 for like 3 years.
Well, he does say Deborah twice. So do we count it twice or is it just 1?
Yeah, let's count it twice. Well, no, because then we'd be counting every time somebody says Deborah.
All right, so only.
I think it needs to be a sustained Deborah.
Sustained Deborah counter 1.
Bing.
At the end, oh man, this report that we're gonna put out at the end of the year,
oh my goodness,
is gonna be amazing.
We're gonna win the Nobel Peace Prize.
Everybody, just wait for those quarterlies. Yeah,
we just need to find. We want to get it obviously in like a prestigious journal, you know, like an academic publication. We just need to find peers to review it because
how about our friends at the Barone Report? We could get them to sign.
They know a lot about the show.
Honestly, I don't think there is a human being behind the Barone Report. I think it's an artificial intelligence.
You're probably right about that.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll reach out to the Must Love Raymond people, or at least go visit their graves. So we get our first classic Deborah, and then we cut up to Frank fixing the shower.
Oh, yeah.
I thought this was like, I'm sure this like really titillated you, Alex, because this is a great Frank like tour de force this scene.
Every scene is a great Frank scene, unless he's not there.
Well said.
Alex Shear, 2022.
There you go.
Well said. I just thought like once he finishes fixing it and then he gives the description of all, like just the phrase "hot is now cold," like leading off of that is so funny.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And then go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just like, first of all, I just love this is like such a grandpa moment of like just home repair. You gotta fix it and he fucks it all up. I love it so much. Very well done.
Yeah.
Peter Boyle's always great, but this is a particularly good scene.
This is, I think, like the first, because like in the pilot, we didn't really get like a Frank showcase. Like we got to see him like sniff the kids and, whatever.
Yep.
But this is like the first, like it really establishes Frank and his like idiosyncrasies really well, I thought.
Yeah.
So then the tone of the scene kind of changes. Ray asks him when the last time he said "I love you" was to anyone. And I just thought, again, to get too deep into it, it's an interesting insight on how Frank sees the world. Because in this scene, at first he like dismisses Ray and, says we're not living in a fairy tale or anything. But then in the same scene, he at some point says his parents didn't tell him that they loved him because they didn't want to spoil him.
Yeah.
Which I think, so we have these, and this is, again, too much thought being put into this, but we have these like competing ideas in Frank of love is something that's very valuable and showing affection for someone is very valuable. And yet the very notion of being asked to show affection for someone, he dismisses out of hand.
It's like asking for money for him, I would say.
Yeah.
If affection is currency,
that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Asking for it is like asking for free money.
Yeah. And like Marie comes in and she gets mad at Frank, but like it kind of echoes the same idea. And what's really interesting to me is Frank gives the date, location, and time of the last time Marie told him "I love you." So like it does matter to him.
It meant a lot to him. Yeah, it is. I
that-
like that currency analogy.
That could have been bullshit
True.
on Frank's account.
Listen, I am choosing.
That's another read.
I am choosing to believe in Frank.
Look,
okay?
I am too. I just have to play Marie's advocate in this one scene. I promise I'll never do it again.
Yeah.
I'm a Frank stan for life.
I also
Yeah.
I also just want to put out that like I think it's interesting of Ray to do this because I'm not sure if it's in this scene or if it's in the next scene, but he says something to the effect of like, I don't want my kids to grow up affection starved like I did. And I thought it was a really like, I don't know, I thought it was an interesting, like they almost touched on like a parents trying to reverse the sins of the father kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then, like, a scene after that, it disappears because Deborah sees it. And instead of being like, all right, this is a good first step, she's just like, gross. And it just,
Well,
it kind of undercuts what I think the episode was almost trying to get at.
Mike, for me, and I'm going to end this little rant by bringing Ray back up a point for me, because in the previous scene that I forgot to mention, when he's talking about like, oh, this is how my parents were. They never really showed affection to me. And then when Deborah broke out like is this how you want your kids to be when they're grown up? Ray gives like a legitimately like endearing like single no. Like he really like I could tell he really meant like no. Like he almost snapped out of it. It was like you're right on this. And then he goes to Frank and he expresses that same sentiment. You could tell what Deborah said stuck with him going into this discussion. That's one of his main arguing points. And I think that's what gets it through to Marie and Frank too. And that's why they do what they do in the following scene.
Yeah.
So I think...
Yeah, I also would bump Ray up just for having the intention to change, or at least to explore the idea of change and to look retrospectively at why am I like this. I think that brings him up from like, I think I had him at a, do I have a,
you had him at a
1
2.
or a
You
2?
had him at a 2.
All right.
I think.
I'll bump him up to maybe a cautious 4.
Cautious 4.
I'm at 4 as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
I'll
the
meet you
will
there.
to change is important.
I'll meet you there.
Okay. Yes. So, I also just wanted to mention Marie when she, 2 thoughts. Marie, when she enters, throwing the tuna fish sandwich into the sink is fucking hilarious.
So funny.
And that's real. Just her fucking comic timing is so good.
Yeah.
She is the best performer on this show. I stand for Marie 100%.
I really like Marie.
I love it because she, like, when she's going off at Frank, she stammers for a second and then she's just like, forget this tuna fish. Then she throws it.
Yeah.
Like, you could see her whole, like, mental process, and it feels very human, very real.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thought was just like what you were saying about the money analogy for affection and love. The fact that Frank has sort of these competing ideas of, it's valuable, but it's also precious and shouldn't be used, it should be used sparingly, sort of makes sense as to why all of them guard this resource. So, like, they don't want to be vulnerable about it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It's sort of like they don't want to leave themselves open to having it rejected or to wasting it on somebody who doesn't reciprocate it. So I wanted to mention that, and then to tie it into the next scene, like you were about to mention. So we open on the scene downstairs. Deborah is, because the shower is broken, bathing the twins in the sink. And I'm going to hard disavow this weird cultural thing of it's okay for babies to be naked on camera.
I'm agreeing.
I don't think that's cool. There's a weird, like, cultural pass for it. Give them some fucking autonomy and dignity, and, let them decide whether they want to show their ass to the American viewing public. That's just my soapbox for this episode. Like, fucking disavow.
All right. Adam has reached his first hard disavowal of Everybody Loves Raymond, the TV series. We got here, everybody.
Yeah. And I mean, now Adam's saying that, kind of like, I feel similarly, where it made me feel uncomfortable just about, like, the whole situation, where it was like they are essentially like babies, not infants, but they're very young. But still, it feels strange, especially considering that, like, they're, this was so long ago. Those, they're not babies anymore. It just feels strange.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I was just gonna say,
what are you of the mind of?
It's interesting that, like, it's I don't know. I feel weird that nudity is something to be ashamed of. I'm gonna stand on my nudist stand.
Michael Dormer.
I'm gonna stand on my nudist. I get what you guys are saying. I really do, but I also think there's a different perspective on it, kind of thing. I get it. I get your point. I also thought it was an innocent scene. I thought it was kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's not so much about, like, literally the nudity. It's the fact that they cannot express the autonomy about their body and how it's shown.
Okay.
It's an
interesting topic. I don't think I thought about it that deeply. I thought it was, my thought was kind of like, it's a funny thing. I don't know if you'll never see Modern Family doing a joke like that.
I do love that kind of consecutiveness from, like, in the earlier part of the episode, the shower head's broken. Then the center part of the episode, the shower is being fixed, even if it's kind of just like a stage setter. And then the third part of the episode, because of what happened earlier, the twins are being bathed in the bath, or in the sink.
Yeah.
So, like, there's just a sense of, like, cohesive storytelling behind the actual storytelling from just the setting, which I thought was
I like that.
A good way to do that.
We are all for, we have to give it up for continuity within the episode.
That's all we can ask for.
Within A+, between not so much. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. It's a good detail that they noticed, or that they thought through. So anyway, I just have a lot about the twins being naked on camera. I just have, like, I wrote I guess you'd call it a dissertation.
Adam's new thesis coming out.
So they all come downstairs,
acting weird,
in sort of waves.
Acting very strange.
Ray first, and then Ray and Deborah go back and forth a little bit, and then Marie and Frank come in, and their characterization of this scene is really good, I think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
They sort of obviously have had a discussion after Ray left and have decided that they're going to make an effort, which
good on them.
I think is more than Ray ends up doing. I think that might be premature to say, but Ray doesn't even make that the same level of effort that they do, where
they
don't do it in a sustainable way,
right?
They just sort of have the big tearful, at least in Marie's case, tearful, like, I love you, Ray. And then Frank's sort of very like, I love you, which is,
they were
obviously hard for him to say.
It's funny for him. Yeah.
They were way more immediately open to trying it than Ray was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would have loved to be a fly on the wall in the off-screen conversation between Marie and Frank, because we really don't ever see them, or at the very least not yet, have a genuine conversation about something their kids brings up. And so that's an interesting relationship that happened off-screen, and we will never know what was said, what Marie said to get through to Frank, or vice versa. It's fascinating.
There is an interesting little like subplot in a future episode way down the line that kind of like shows what Marie and Frank do or like talk about when no one else is around. And I'm not going to say what happens because I want to talk about it when that comes. But just what you said there made me think of kind of that part of the show. So again, we'll talk about that in 3 years.
And I think I remember, as the show goes on, we do explore their relationship a lot more as, in and of itself, rather than as it relates to Ray. Because at this point, all we know about their relationship and their parenting is from Ray, and looking retrospectively or assuming things retrospectively about what they must have done to create the monster. Mm-hmm. Like, let's just put it all out there. The monster that is Ray Barone.
The monster that everybody loves.
Sully.
Everybody fears Raymond.
Everybody fears Raymond.
Oh my God, look out. Everybody hates Raymond.
That's... I kind of want to do an Everybody Loves Raymond parody that's like horror. I just to put that title out there.
You could definitely edit this show to be like... maybe not like a slasher, but you could edit it to be like Dexter or something.
A psychological thriller, like Cloverfield 9 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I can so see like the scene where Ray's alone in the bedroom saying, good old sex in there.
Yeah. So then Robert enters and immediately, and we've already talked too much about these characters' psychology, so let's not even dive into what makes Robert immediately, pick up on what they're doing, and just, he's all over Raymond. He's like, well, you're my brother. I love you. I thought, so then he also, Robert, approaches Deborah and says, I love you, Deb, and so calling back to Robert's sort of purported super strength, Ray sort of goads him off by saying, remember the cat? Mm-hmm. And I thought Brad Garrett's physicality of withdrawing from Deborah, of like... very
so
like
good.
He had war
you can
flashbacks.
See it register. Yeah, exactly. It register the trauma of having presumably murdered this cat from loving it, which is very of mice.
Yeah,
I was
gonna say it's a very Lenny move.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Spoilers for Of Mice and Men if you're still getting to it.
If you're in 8th grade going into 9th. But his physicality is just so funny in that. So then Deborah sort of rebuffs this, and cannot remember which one of you said her reaction was like, this is gross.
Yeah,
that was
my read on that was a little different. I thought she was, so when Ray sort of outs her as having brought this up. Which he did in the last episode too.
Yeah,
he sort of has a tendency to throw her under the bus.
Blame.
I think it's her like recoiling from the sort of attention, and then we've already seen her recoil from being vulnerable with Ray, and now her vulnerability is being exposed to the entire family, who she's already not comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's her recoiling from being open in that way. I don't think it's
there was
responding to the the outpouring of love in and of itself.
Now, I only watched the episode once, so I might be misremembering things, but I thought there was a line in between where like Deborah walks in, sees all this affection, Robert hugs her, and then she says something to the effect of like, Ray, this is not what I wanted, and then Ray throws her under the bus. And that one line is what I was reading. Maybe I'm missing.
Okay.
I think what specific.
I maybe missed that.
I think what specifically happened. You're right. She did say, "Ray, this is not what I wanted," and then it's not Ray. It's Marie who immediately picks up on like, "Wait, this is a problem between you two." And then Ray goes into like fully disclose the situation, and Deborah's vulnerability to just her husband gets revealed to the entire family.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's a combination of the two.
Right.
Well, that costs Ray big time in my book. He was at a 4. He's down to, let's call it a 2. It's so painful to watch him throw her under the bus
I'm
like
with
that.
you.
Like,
I'm with you. That's a bad move.
I'm bringing him to a 3. I think he's pretty consistent with the other kind of shitty pulls in this episode. I don't think that's especially like that's. I don't think that's the worst thing he did in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. At any rate, we get sort of the out of the scene. Deborah mentions, why is he leaving again? Is he following the Mets or something?
Mets are going on a road trip. He's covering them. Yeah.
He's got a plane leaving in 2 hours, and this took me out of it a little bit because obviously pre 9/11.
We had a whole we watched it together. We had a whole conversation about like, wow, security adds a lot of time.
Well, let's just make some assumptions. Okay, how long does it take to get to JFK from Limbo?
Half hour.
At like half hour the worst.
Yeah. It's really close.
Add 30 minutes to pack.
Right.
I don't think he's got a go bag at the ready, and she even says he still has to pack. So we're already down to an hour.
Yep. Well,
right?
He's an hour at the airport. Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets to the airport an hour from now, presumably, and he has to go through security was still there, and he has to check in for the flight and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So let's give him like generously, assume it's not busy, 15 minutes to get to the airport. Oh, actually, maybe let's give him more time because is he taking a taxi? Is he driving? Is he parking?
Mm-hmm. There you go.
So let's say, he's got 30 minutes once he's on the other side of security. They close the plane doors how long before?
In 96, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because now they close it like 30 minutes before takeoff.
I don't know if
least.
It was like that back then. I'm not sure.
I like how you're doing like a time, like a step-by-step, minute-to-minute breakdown of this.
It's just very, like,
it's cutting it close. It's cutting it close.
It's cutting it very close.
You didn't add the extra 2 minutes for the reconciliation between Ray and Deb in the bedroom as well.
For the genuine kiss. Yeah.
And the I love you. And the best moment in the episode.
Yeah.
Where
let's say he has 25 minutes from, through security. He has to get to the gate 5 minutes. Assuming they close the doors 10 minutes before takeoff, that gives him very little leeway. I'm not happy for Ray, with this timeline. He's going to be stressed out, at least rebooked at, worst.
Someone listening is like going to be like, is either currently or will like be in charge of writing future SAT questions, and one of them is going to be, Raymond had 2 hours to get to his plane. If he lived 30 minutes from the airport, and spent 2 minutes.
If it was pre 9/11,
imagine pre 9/11
before the shoe thing. You don't need to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, you didn't have to take off his shoes. I don't know. It just took me out of it. I was like,
my takeaway was honestly like before 9/11, it must have been a much easier time getting to the flight. That's what my thought was initially. But yeah, I mean, that's also true. Wait, what did you say?
I don't know.
Regardless, we're in Raymond's bedroom.
Regardless,
he is packed up, ready to go. And right before he leaves...
Oh, wait, sorry. Can I just...
Oh,
sorry.
Did you have another
note
thought?
about the previous scene?
Oh, yeah.
That is not plane related.
Sorry,
the previous non-plane scene?
It's not plane related. So I just wanted to point out that after they find out that Ray asking them about expressing affection is for Deborah's sake, they drop it immediately.
That
is true.
Very, very true point.
They cannot maintain that for their own sake, and they don't... I don't know if it's a lack of value or it's not wanting to be... Like, they can do that for Ray. They can't do it because it's an inherently good thing to do.
Yeah.
I think that's like a cognitive dissonance thing of they thought Ray expressing this, like, concern about a lack of affection was a reflection of them. And so they don't see themselves that way, and so they're trying to correct it. They don't... that effect isn't happening when it's about Deborah.
And thus, the name of the show makes even more sense, where it's Everybody Loves Raymond, and thus everybody hates everyone who is not Raymond.
Such as
Chris and Deborah.
Yes.
In regards to that, the entire rest of the main cast don't really get along with each other. They're here all for Ray because everybody loves Ray.
Right.
But they all don't like each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or they don't see value in engaging with each other beyond as it pertains to Ray.
Yes.
Which is really, fucked up. And we've already dove way too deep into the psychology of this.
I wonder if we send this to like a prestigious university, if we'll get honorary degrees in psychology.
I think we'll get honorary degrees in Raymond.
I think we already got those in the bag.
Even better.
That's easy.
All right, we made those before we started.
In Debrology.
Printer paper.
Exactly, yeah.
Printer paper. Okay, so Ray goes upstairs, he's packing. Then he's about to leave, and he looks at the bed, and he does just a terrible job of making it.
He is fucking up that bed.
How have you never made a bed before? Like, you're almost, 35 years old?
Something like that.
You never made a bed in your life?
Yeah, it was, you're
like, come on.
I thought that too. I thought that the joke was going to be Deborah going in and being horrified by the crime against humanity that he has done onto this bed.
It also displays kind of maybe a set of low expectations for Ray.
True.
It's not that the bed was poorly made. It's that the bed was made. That's it.
Fair point,
or at least he attempted. I don't think he fully made the bed. I think he started the bed, if anything.
He didn't tuck anything.
So Deborah comes in and is sort of watching him from the doorway, and she clearly appreciates the effort and sees that he's doing this because he wants to make up for not showing her that he cares. He's showing that he cares through this small way. I think that she's like we were talking about nonverbal communication before. I think she's interpreting this as him showing that he cares. So I think this is a good move by Ray in just as far as making the bed goes. But I think when they sort of talk about it, I don't think he at first absorbs the lesson. And he seems just relieved that he doesn't have to change at first. Like, as long as he keeps doing these small things, Deborah will be fine with it. I think it really like, if that was the conclusion that they ended the episode off of, I would be like, fuck Ray, he's a 1, he should die. I'm glad he's, presumably the character is rotting in hell.
Does Ray die at the end of Everybody Loves Raymond?
Yeah, we'll find out.
I guess we gotta stick to the finale. That would be a plot. That would be a tone change. Holy shit.
Well, we know, so body count 1 at this point, Leo.
Rest in peace, Leo. Yeah.
Rest in peace, Leo. But then Ray comes back and he learns the lesson and he says, I love you, and seems to mean it, which is great. So, and then, of course, like the comedic moment at the end of the episode is her then, because I don't think we explicitly said this, but when they're expressing like why he doesn't feel comfortable doing this, he says he's afraid that someone's going to laugh at him. He's afraid of being vulnerable in that way.
And
so the choice to have Deborah then laugh at him is really funny.
It's a beautiful little twist on this whole kind of development.
Yeah.
And also, in a weird way, kind of like self-explains the reason why there may not be continuity in future episodes, where they had this talk and it's more about the nonverbal love. So Ray's not going to just start saying I love you because of this episode.
I don't know. We'll have to see as it moves forward. I thought it wasn't so much about verbal versus nonverbal. I think it's just generally about him showing that
affection.
He cares. And yeah. But I think you can read her laughing, and this is the way I'm choosing to interpret it, as sort of just a release of tension more than anything.
You know, that's fair.
Or at least that's how I would rationalize it as like a natural response to the scene. Because I think if you look at it that way, it makes sense, like with her character arc, in addition to just being a good way to end the episode comedically. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
100%.
So, yeah, I think it works, and I like that they ended on that sort of release of tension. But then, of course, we have like the what do you call the end of not the opposite of the cold open? What do you call that?
The warm close. Yeah, the hot close. The post credits.
So we go to the hot close.
Yeah.
The hot close of Ray calling from the road, and he's on the phone, and he's saying that he loves the other person on the end of the phone, and that he's going to be saying it a lot more often. And then, of course, they reveal that he's talking to one of the kids.
Yeah.
So I think
I thought it was a funny bit.
It was funny, yeah. I would have appreciated it if, for my own sake, they had shot an extended ending where he then tells Deborah the same thing, because I want to believe that he learned from this.
But they want to end on a joke.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, but I want to read the novelization of this episode where we find out that he then wrote Deborah a postcard where he was like, Deborah, I love you, and I'm going to be saying it a lot more often.
Adam, I love that idea. I also need you to recognize that Everybody Loves Raymond is not like a Nicholas Sparks book. I don't think it's meant to be like this big romance overarching thing of like the husband falling in love.
It's a learning thing.
It's a learning thing. Yeah. That's exactly right. I want to give you a little insight into what I spent my afternoon doing. So, the start of the hot close is an establishing shot of a city skyline and a baseball stadium. I spent 45 minutes trying to figure out where that was.
So, okay, can I take a guess?
Yeah, well, you can take a guess as to what my best guess is, because I did not have a definitive answer.
Okay, so my thought is that it's probably a National League ballpark, 1996, and we see that it was a covered stadium. So it could have been the Diamondbacks, it could have been the Rays, so either Phoenix or Tampa. I think it's colder, though.
Dude.
My bet is
the
Montreal.
Rays.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
It's the Rays.
I looked up what teams have covered stadiums.
Yeah.
The Rays did not build their covered stadium until 2021.
Is that true?
Something like that.
The Trop
or maybe
is
2012.
The Trop is that
I
new?
don't know.
Yeah, it's got to be 2012 because it's an atrocious ballpark.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? The Marlins.
Oh, yeah. The Marlins built a new stadium and I thought it was 2019, but still pretty
Something
recently.
Like that.
Yeah.
I looked at all of those stadiums. I think, based on the skyline that we see, that it is Atlanta.
That would make sense.
Because...
Go ahead.
I want you to go back and look, because there's one building that's sort of tubular.
Okay.
Totally.
I think that's the Westin Peachtree Plaza in Atlanta, which is a mirrored sort of tubular shape.
Adam took one framing established shot and just freaking doxed Ray Romano. That's
Well, we know he was in it, or we can assume.
Yep.
Our best guess is that he was in Atlanta in 1996.
Yeah, very true. That makes sense because the Atlanta Braves are in the same division as the New York Mets, which means they play at least 16 games, I think. It might have been more back then because this was before interleague play. So, something like that.
Not only did I look up what teams are in the National League, I looked up what teams were in the National League in 1996.
There you go.
So I looked at the Montreal Expos Stadium. Like, I went down a whole rabbit hole, and the thing about it is I'm probably wrong.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day,
we'll never know. But that's a good get.
Yeah.
It's a good bet.
And that's, I think, a good thing to close on is a call to action. If you know what city Ray was in at the end of this episode, please write to Raymond@postfun.info and let us know, because I'm gonna keep looking and I'm not smart enough to figure it out. So this is probably going to be what kills me.
I wonder if this is going to be a recycled shot that we see every time Ray is on assignment.
Wow, he goes to Atlanta a lot.
Yeah.
Adam, I appreciate your commitment to a low standards podcast as you spend most of your time figuring out how to dox Ray Barone.
Yeah.
It's not a dox thing. It's more of a where in the world is.
I love it.
Sort of thing.
I freaking love it. All right, guys. I think that does it for this episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe on whatever podcasting forum you're listening to us on right now.
Can they subscribe?
Can they? I think so.
They can. Two notes.
Yeah.
Not a video podcast, so they can't watch it. Other note, yes, they can subscribe on Spotify and Apple and wherever you get your podcasts. I don't know, I think we've submitted to Amazon Music, so if you're 95 years old, check it out there. Who the fuck is listening to Amazon Music?
Who the hell is listening to podcasts on Amazon Music?
Yeah. And also please remember to send all questions, Raymembrances. I forgot the name of the thing. Send all questions, all remembrances, all hate mail to Raymond@postfun.info.
And I think that's it for this week. So there's just one last thing to say, our classic sign-off. Everybody
loves Raymond, and
we love you.
See you next time.
All right, then.
Deborah! I can't do it. I'll get it eventually.
Hey, Adam here. I realized after we stopped recording that we forgot to do our final Baronmeter rating, and that is how we're going to pronounce it from now on. Mike gave Ray a 4.5 at the end. He believes that there was some genuine change happening, but it will probably be thrown away at the start of the next episode. Alex had him at a 4. He felt that Ray had a rough episode, and his recovery at the end was not enough to bring it up. I also had him at a 4. I do think he learned his lesson, but the man is such a haunted house inside that I cannot, in good conscience, rate him highly. So that averages out to a 4.2. A bit of a dip from last time, but still in the same ballpark. So we're looking forward to evaluating Ray. Until then, remember, everybody loves Raymond, and we love you.